We should definitely hit this topic while we're here, and I guess we could hit that Reddit link there. While on the phone with FYBJ Main, Lil Durk said that No Jumper is instigating a lot of the conflicts in Chicago. He didn't actually say anything that specific from what I saw, but J Main co-signed that statement. Let's play this. Let's peep this audio. Audio sign. You got to press the audio sign.
Hey, niggas don't got no weed or what?
Yeah,
we only smoke Camels.
Smoking Camels.
Go crazy.
All right, here we go.
Right there.
Crazy. Now look, when you with the connection, it's over with. Like,
Nah, let's start there.
ain't no lie. Like, we all need each other. Like, ain't no way. It's like y'all controlling the narrative. We got the politics, the fan. It's like you got niggas like Adam and them in the way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Let's just start there. Like, that's why, and AJ Main, man, stop going on there. Like, man, shit.
So the quote there was, you got dudes like Adam in the way. So I guess the statement that's being made there is that I am in some way responsible for what's been going on in Chicago over like even the last year, or that I'm kind of helping to control the narrative. This is rich coming from someone like Durk, who obviously is one of the most popular rappers and throughout his career has had some of the most over the top diss songs in Chicago rap history. I feel like, if anything, the narrative that we've put forth, and I'm working on a compilation that will compile all of the times on the podcast in which I was really pushing people to lay down their guns and promoting peace. Now, granted, yes, we discussed the history of a lot of these beefs and everything, but the idea that I'm in any way pushing narratives that contribute to the violence when we're talking about someone who I don't think almost anybody besides Durk, maybe Vaughn, you could throw him in it. I don't think almost anyone has had more of an impact in terms of pushing gang warfare stemming from music than Lil Durk. So to me, that is kind of a baffling statement. J Main said, let's start there. We didn't really get to hear Durk follow up on it. And even when I was watching Academics react to this clip, Academics said, why did he put this clip out? Because when you hear Durk say something like that about me, that kind of seems like the type of commentary that Durk maybe would not have wanted to put out there. Not that he's like afraid of me or anything, but he might not necessarily have wanted him being quoted as saying that I was a part of pushing these narratives and stuff. So to me, it's a little baffling to see that, especially when I think about the other interviewers in Chicago who primarily do interviews. It's not like they're pushing some kumbaya shit.
Well, this is essentially the same thing that they were saying about academics during the war in Chirac.
Right. It's much easier to put it on the media figure who's talking about the killing and the violence than to put it on the people who are actually perpetrating the violence.
Yeah.
Or the people rapping about it, especially when you consider that like a big No Jumper interview is probably going to get like 1 million views, a couple million views at most, like with one of these Chicago guys. Whereas like, you know, Durk literally has, you know, diss songs towards other gang members that have like 100 million views on YouTube alone.
Which, to be fair, he's kind of dialed back on over the years.
And I've even been quoted on here as saying that I think that Durk's next record, even before he made this statement, that I think that his next record is probably going to be free of the gang disses, because they've really they've really been less on his latter projects. It seems like there's less of that intense sort of like anger.
He's not still making L's Anthem type records. You know what I mean? Like, he
has made songs that insult people and that are getting into the mix and everything, but not
to that degree,
not quite the way that he used to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like what was the purpose of the conversation? Like, what were you guys even talking about? What was going on, and to where it comes to Adam being in the way? Are you guys trying to start your own Kumbaya platform? Because I could tell you now that shit's gonna do 0 views.
Well, because
I'm just.
Wait, you think Durk and J Main are gonna start a Kumbaya platform that's gonna do 0 views? I think it'll do great.
In the way, no, not if they talk about, hey brother, let's hug each other. That shit's gonna be dope for the first 2 episodes. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, Durk talking about anything.
That's not what niggas signed up for, bro. Not why I'm here, bro.
But this is one other thing I want to say about it is that
Durk.
I feel like He said that.
Yeah,
I feel like
I can say it. That's my bro.
when I listened to that, when I listened to what
bullshit.
Durk had to say about that situation, I actually felt like, oh, he's really tuned in, because it felt like he was talking about the situation where me and Remo had J Mane on maybe almost a year ago, and we told him that it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's not ideologically consistent for him to be pushing peace partnered up with Tay Savage, when at that time Tay Savage's new mixtape had just come out, and the first song and it was called Goofy, and in that song he's naming off a whole bunch of dead ops that he's smoking on the first song on the album. You don't have to dig too deep into the album to find him shitting on a bunch of dead ops,
But they already did. So
but I feel like Durk was kind of alluding to that, which it's mixy all of a sudden, because what is his relationship with Tay Savage? We don't know exactly how hard they fuck with each other and everything. Obviously, there's the Muslim connection. But when I heard Durk say that, I felt like he was sort of doing a callback to the No Jumper episode in which we confronted J Mane with the reality of the fact that it is ideologically inconsistent to do the push and the peace movement with Tay Savage when Tay Savage is literally rapping about people that he doesn't fuck with over some street shit.
I think also it could be that, or it could be that and a combination of the fact of merely certain individuals being platformed that are talking the shit they're talking.
He's trying to get views. He's
Yeah.
pushing
I was
peace,
just-
but when he
yeah.
raps, he has to go with the
Gotta
fucking
keep the numbers
Chirac
up.
drill shit.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like I said, Kumbaya, Durk and who the fuck ever will be at 1 million views to 500,000 to 50,000 views an episode.
My thing though is that if we are going to push for peace, at some point, at least one person, and then hopefully others after them, are going to have to lay down their weapon. And I think J Mane has done an admirable job at that, because when J Mane decided he was going to start pushing peace, he did not do so from a position of power. Grant, this conversation is easy for Durk to have.
Yeah.
They're viewed as the victors in this whole saga.
Okay, nobody. You're pushing peace because your feet are up. Y'all all pushing peace because your feet are up. You are no longer in the battlefield no more. You can't push peace, my nigga. You can't. None of y'all push peace. What happens is, if y'all got control of them little niggas, y'all set the standard for the peace. The first nigga that break it, y'all kill cuz and set an example over the nigga that
That's how
don't
you
want
really
peace.
do it,
And you
yeah.
get him up out of here. All that other shit, I don't want to hear it.
Oh,
We done
God.
been through 1 million peace treaties. And as soon as one start killing, they all follow behind them again. So it's like, y'all don't want peace. Y'all just want it to cool down for a second. You want
Yeah.
peace. Every time a motherfucker fuck up, spank his feet. Don't it ain't no DP. Your ass getting killed, nigga.
And the next
because
co-
it's
and-
people coming back over here to kill you.
If it was treated
that
that
easy.
serious, now you're talking about a situation that I think would actually change shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, when I hear this phone call, I do think that this could have a positive impact on people. But I do feel like, you know, until it's proven to us that this is a long-term sustained effort and that people are really willing to work together, it's kind of up in the air about how much of an impact it's going to have. I already seen at least 2 to 3 Chicago drill rappers / gang members who got killed since this phone conversation came out a couple days
That's
ago.
what I'm about to say. You got niggas
Right.
still snorting fentanyl off the plate and all that. Like, listen, it's still going on. And these little dudes, it's so many different subset. Who gives a fuck about GD and BD
That's
fucking
been
getting
it's-
along?
yeah.
Like, all right,
Yeah.
you guys barely beef.
That's
anyway.
one part of the puzzle.
Yeah. That's
You gotta
barely-
stop all
it-
these fucking side clicks that's out here. These little niggas don't care.
But they can't take credit for, or they can't take that responsibility upon themselves.
Of all
Like, they
their
can only
OGs
worry
getting
about
locked
their
up,
shit.
essentially, yeah.
And keep in mind, J Mane is technically a BD.
Yeah, I know, but he is integrated. He's
Right,
like
yeah.
the what's my GD dude name that's with Durk?
Oh, I forget.
You know what I'm talking.
Shit, but even Dirk's dad was a
That-
GD.
Yeah,
like, you
so
feel me?
listen,
Like, yeah.
GD is like the main set, and BD is a subset of them.
Right.
But this is where Chicago fails. We not letting nobody else start no hood in our hood, nigga. You gonna be from the set. All them cliques that we started,
Yeah.
you know how they ended? Cause nigga, the homies got up on us like, nigga, y'all gonna be from the hood. Ain't no more other hoods over
Right.
here. So now you're gaining all the like you're able to take over and give your structure to the kids that's in the neighborhood.
And they
It's
didn't
not
have
5
enough
people
They
running
ain't
their
got
own
enough
program.
OGs that was like
Exactly.
Yeah, like
Motherfuckers don't make it past
but the
23
thing is,
out
like,
there.
if motherfuckers is really
facts.
pushing an agenda for peace like that, then how come the next rapper you finna put on is not gonna be Common or Lupe Fiasco or Chance the Rapper. It's not going to be one of these. You feel
I think
me?
we have to keep the door open for Durk actually really doing a serious pivot in terms of like what he wants to do with his artistry and his music career and everything. Because yeah, obviously it's easy to say like, oh well, you signed Muwap a couple of years ago, and how's he going to feel about this and everything like that. Like, if people are really going to take sustained efforts towards pushing peace, they're going to have to like basically be willing to take the L publicly, be on divergent terms with certain people from their area and shit like that. Like, this whole process, if they are serious about it, is not going to be simple or easy. You got to break some eggs to make an omelet.
Who was it that just did a No Jumper interview that recently said, I believe it was a No Jumper interview that recently said that if Duck was alive, he would not be with the Pushing Peace movement.
Well, we had that conversation with J-Mane because Aunt Glizzy on Say Cheese was basically like pushing the narrative on J-Mane of when Doug died, their side picked up switches and your side picked up logging equipment. And J-Mane really took offense to that. I think J-Mane should have said, cool, yes, whatever. I'm willing to let go of past, things that I felt like I needed to get revenge for. I don't want to have that mentality. It's like, if we're really going to have like people decide that killing isn't cool anymore, it's going to take people saying, okay, maybe we are not perceived as being up on the scoreboard, but we're going to still take real active steps to be not involved in this anymore.
Intellectually, what you said is 1,000,000% correct. But when you take into account the fact that these are people that lost their loved ones and all that, it makes it a little bit more difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To actually go through with that.
And, it's easy for, like you said, it's easy for people who are in a position of power. It's easy for me to say you guys need to lay your shit down and push peace, but it's different when you're coming from their perspective. But I do think it's admirable.
Your cousin just got chipped, and your homeboy just got chipped.
Yeah, my whole thing is, you know what I'm saying, Martin Luther King got killed, Malcolm X got killed. The motherfucker who cared so much and always want the peace, it's all, well, Malcolm X not too much with the peace, but it's like, the person who gets involved and stands in the middle, something always happens to him. Yeah, you got to put demonstrations down in order for peace to come about.
I heard a quote the other day that said the culture that we live in today would never have allowed Malcolm Little to become Malcolm X. We're so critical of everybody who wants to do something positive. We just immediately start inspecting and put them under the microscope, and we want to judge every single thing that they do. So I want to leave the door open for somebody like Durk, who, granted, like, a lot of his lyrics have contributed to tension in Chicago. If he decides that he wants to leave that ship behind and we think that he's sincere, I think that we should give it a shot, right?
Yeah, no, I'm with it.
With
but
action.
I'm just telling a motherfucker what was the angle of the conversation. That's where we started. Like,
yeah,
where
there's
did y'all
no
get
context
to that?
beyond
Yeah,
that.
where did y'all get to
no
Adam
offense.
being in the way? Because in a way,
to be fair, he just
in a
kind of
way,
like briefly mentions that about me. I don't know like what he would have said if J-Mane kind of like pried into that a little bit more. Yeah. But one other thing, I encourage people, like, J-Mane seemed a little starstruck in this conversation.
he was.
He doesn't say almost anything in the conversation.
There.
Let's start there. Do I have to go there? He says his catchphrases about like 15
It's all
times each,
ad-libs.
but he doesn't really like get into too much of an actual conversation. He kind of like lets Durk do his thing, and he doesn't really seem like he had even like thought about what he might say in
Because
reaction.
if Durk was so anti or so pro Adam being in the way and anti No Jumper, why the fuck are y'all best friends always coming through the back door?
Yeah.
Right.
Why?
I think
fuck?
he's using Adam as a blanket statement.
No,
for-
DJU. Say DJU. Say
But he
these
says
niggas
in the
that's
phone
way
call-
16 shot him. Say,
But he says in the
That's what
phone
I'm
call
saying.
basically that he's gonna fuck with DJU and stuff. But my question would just be like, what's the difference between the content of DJU's average interview and mine?
They
I feel like we're asking
tell
extremely
there's
similar
just more
questions.
turn time.
And if anything, he knows way more about exactly what's going on with the politics. I think that shit on average, like a lot of the questions, and that's why I'll click on a DJU or a 16 shot him interview. I think that they're more likely to like understand what's going on in the streets than my shit.
R.I.P. to Zach. You feel me? Legend. You feel me? Set the precedence. The original Chirac media, like homegrown. He was definitely very, like, he presented all politics and beefs and everything, showcased what was going on.
Because the truth is that if you don't do that shit,
clip.
if you don't do that shit, you are going to quickly figure out that the people are going to gravitate towards people who are willing to ask the tough questions and be willing to speak to people who maybe are not the most well liked. You know, it would have been fairly simple for us to like stay on Durk's good side by not interviewing people that have anything negative to say about him. I understand he wasn't happy about the Puda LaFleur interview. From our perspective, we're not trying to like, you know, make people happy. We're trying to do interviews with people that actually have a story to tell.
And there's still T-Ski, there's Von Offset, there's fools that are making noise, but right now in Chicago, all the gang violence is overshadowing. There's no superstar artist right now currently like there was before. So it was different when there's all that negativity, but you had Chief Keef, you had Reese, you had all these fools, you know, Durk blowing up. And it seems like at this point, people are more interested in the fuck shit than they are the music.
My response to Puda LaFleur is this, because you know I've been knowing Puda since he was walking, right? So he was one of them people on them Z Money days. He was down there with us in Austin.
Yeah, because we never really got the full story about why you were hunting down Z Money.
I'm going to call in and make sure. We're going to talk about that next Tuesday because I don't want to, you know, ruffle the wrong feathers with that.
That was surprising to hear.
Because I know they pieced up probably. I think they cool now, so I don't want to, like, spark up some shit the world don't know about. But, Puda, you got to understand that this man is in an active war. No matter where he's at, he's a national op. Him with you and Lil Vernie, because Lil Vernie's also in the wheelchair. You hip to Lil V? Mm-hmm. All right, so Lil V.
Billionaire Black was just making jokes about him.
So I've been knowing he wouldn't have did that shit while Vernie was on his feet, period. That's who took me to the O Block for the first time. But like Lil Vernie and him, like you can't really expect the motherfucker to take you on the road on tour and all of this when they have to, their first thing when gunshots go off is to protect you. They cannot leave their paralyzed homeboy that's been injured in the field. Right. So at the end of the day, you got to take away some feeling with that. He turned up. He was on the road probably 250 days out of the year. You got 100 days at home. You get what I'm trying to say? Like you can't involve yourself. And I'm not saying your condition is not a reason. And then it's like, okay, if you haven't found your way to implement yourself in the program outside of rapping and all of that, I've yet to see one paraplegic rapper make it too far. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to, like, at that point with your condition and you still pushing your rap career, you should have got more involved with the merch, the signing of an artist.
Besides Stephen Hawking's, right?
And being, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to, like, that's my little brother. You know, he still called me shitty. To this day, went to go meet up with him while he was here. But you can't let that go into your feelings when you're not weighing out both sides. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like my thoughts on that was that on one hand, like Puda being so aggrieved about the way he was treated by Durk seems, it's kind of hard for me to judge because a lot of people in a similar situation, let's say I ended up going on tour with some rapper for the next year, and then at some point he decides that he doesn't want to take me on tour anymore. It's like a lot of rappers would play that as just being thankful for the time that this person took you around the world, and they would be understanding about the fact that not everything is going to last forever. Like, you know, 600 Breezy could be complaining about Drake not taking him on tour anymore all the time if he wanted to, right? But instead, when you ask him in an interview about what happened with you and Drake, he's like, yeah, that's still my boy. It's still cool. We can still do stuff, whatever, you know? But like, I feel like, but Puda seems like he took it a lot more personal than that, and I don't necessarily know if that's because there was additional layers of disrespect that maybe aren't being communicated, or if maybe he's just a little bit ungrateful for that experience. And I understand that that's probably like tied in with the fact that he's not so happy about the fact that him not going on tour seems like it was associated with him ending up in the wheelchair. I don't really know. But either way, I mean, somebody like him, if he feels like that about Durk, he's an interesting character in Chicago history. I'm perfectly happy to have the conversation, knowing it's not necessarily gonna, you know, put us in good favor.
That is gonna definitely affect your career trajectory negatively, regardless if you want, like, admit it or not. Let's say you're a professional athlete and something like that happens to you, like what? You're still gonna be the starting fucking inside linebacker for the Chicago Bears? No.
Life, and life throws curveballs at you, man. It's just all about how you deal with it. Like, you could have been the head of OTF gaming or something else. Like, take your talents and move them around.
But we don't know if the door was open for him to necessarily do shit like that, right?
The door would, Puda, to my knowledge, when I came home, Puda was still in the mix. You get what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, I did see him in Atlanta. So it goes all the way up into the move to Atlanta. So I don't know. Like, if a motherfucker, like, they get financial advisors that tell them that you're not supposed to be paying everybody's rent. Like, you gotta let a man fend for himself. It's other people. When you start getting money, it's other people in their ear. They got accountants and shit like that. Ain't too smart right there.
Beyond that, like, and on the other side of the coin, if you're an artist and you don't really have the highest degree of life experience or emotional intelligence, and all of a sudden you're on tour or in the entourage or amongst one of the biggest artists in the game, and that gets stripped from you, you might not be able to have the mental faculties to really comprehend and understand what's going on. And it might feel like rejection, even though that's not what it is. It's a business move.
And then name one hit Puda the Flare song.
There you go.
Like, if you gave them something to work with too, it'd be different. That's all it is. It's like, come on, at the end of the day, you know, you gotta just, you know. And
then there's all those people that wound up being featured on a huge record that just because they were around or because they're a part of that entourage, we don't remember their name. We barely even remember their verse. So,
but you also got to give Puda some credit for being willing to, like, live his truth and say exactly how it feels, because there's been other people I've had conversations with who, you know, maybe were with Durk at a certain point, and now it feels like they're kind of on the outs, but they still keep it very clean when they're on a podcast because they don't want to necessarily close the door. They are thankful for what might have happened before. But I mean, that's also just keeping shit cool in general, like, in terms of, like, you know, if you were to leave No Jumper and we were still on good terms, it's like there's a way you talk about it if you want to play the victim narrative. And then there's a way you talk about it if you want to just keep it solid.
Yeah,
you know, it's like two different ways to handle it. And one is advantageous to you in the sense that it leaves the door open to still fuck with No Jumper. And the other side is like, it's advantageous because you know that some percentage of people are going to latch on to you being against these people.
Yeah. Because you could get on the fuck No Jumper side and you get your views, but you have to keep on reacting to No Jumper in order to
and then you might not.
We've seen this.
And then you might not realize, and you might not realize the negative impact of you potentially doing that. You might be like, oh, well, me and Durk can squash it later. But what you're not thinking of is he might not ever want to fuck with you again. You feel me? You might have just played yourself out completely.
But see, Durk one of them people that won't call you for a minute. Ain't no love lost though.
Yeah,
that's what I can say. Like, just because you don't hear from Durk all the time does not mean that he feels anything separate from how he felt about you before.
But there's so many people that want to fuck with him that I'm sure he would love to give opportunities to. If one of them winds up going on a rant or like sowing seeds of discontent and going against him, he might not be so inclined to want to spin the block and keep that same energy next time we see you. It might not be the same love if you wind up in the interim doing some shit where you're talking negatively about him. You feel me?
Yeah.